The HBO Harry Potter series has 277 million views on its trailer in 48 hours. The most watched HBO trailer in history. 8 episodes per book. A decade of production. The most expensive television adaptation of a book series ever attempted. And it could still destroy everything. Not because of the casting, not because of the budget, not because of the visual effects or the sets or the decisions about what to include and what to cut. Because of 5 specific creative choices. 5 moments where the series will face a fork in the road. And if it takes the wrong turn at any one of them, it will not matter how faithful the adaptation is or how many scenes the Warner Brothers films left out that finally get their due. I want to be clear about something before we begin. I want this series to succeed. I have spent years going through these books carefully, and the thought of 8 hours per novel, 8 full episodes to tell the story of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone alone, is extraordinary. The things that could be done with that time. The characters that could finally breathe. The moments that the films flattened into nothing that could be restored. But here is what I found when I looked at the details of this production carefully. One of the 5 things on this list is not a future risk. It is already happening right now. It started the moment the casting was announced. And unless showrunner Francesca Gardiner makes a very specific creative decision in the writer's room, it will quietly destroy the most important reveal in all 7 books before the series even reaches season 6. We are going to get there, but first, let us start at the beginning. Part 1. The Tone Problem. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling is a children's book. I do not mean that dismissively. I mean it precisely. It is a book written for children about a world that is magical and surprising and occasionally frightening, but fundamentally warm. The Hogwarts that Harry arrives at in September of 1991 is a place of enchantment. Moving staircases, floating candles, a ceiling that reflects the sky, owls delivering post at breakfast, nearly headless Nick, Peeves the polite menace, the Sorting Hat singing its song. It is a book about wonder. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling is a war novel. Characters die on almost every page. The wizarding world is occupied. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft. And wizardry is a prison. Torture happens in the corridors. Children are abused. The darkness is not implied. It is explicit. It is total. These 2 books are the same series. And the journey from one to the other is the entire emotional architecture of Harry Potter. The series works because the darkness earns its weight by contrast with the light that came before it. Book 1 is supposed to feel like a dream. Book 7 is supposed to feel like a nightmare. And the devastation of Book 7 only fully lands if you genuinely believed in the dream. The risk for the HBO series is the Game of Thrones effect. Mark Mylod, who will executive produce and direct multiple episodes of the HBO series, also directed episodes of Game of Thrones. Francesca Gardiner, the showrunner, wrote for Succession and Killing Eve. These are brilliant, celebrated television makers. They know how to handle darkness. They know how to build tension and complexity and moral ambiguity. And that is exactly the problem. If the HBO series opens with an atmosphere that is too cold, too knowing, too sophisticated in its darkness, it will destroy the journey before it has begun. Season 1 is supposed to feel like magic. If it feels like prestige television from the first frame, by the time Season 7 arrives, there is nowhere left to go. The question I want you to think about right now is this. When you picture the HBO series in your head, does it feel warm, or does it feel like Succession with wands? Tell me in the comments. I genuinely want to know. Part 2. Ron Weasley. Again, in 1997, J.K. Rowling wrote a character named Ronald Bilious Weasley. He was brave. He was funny. He was deeply insecure. He was the best chess player at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. He walked into the Forbidden Forest despite being terrified of spiders. He played a life-sized game of chess and sacrificed himself so Harry could go on. He came back in the Deathly Hallows after leaving and found his friends in a freezing tent and did not explain himself. He just stayed. In 2001, screenwriter Steve Kloves, who wrote 7 of the 8 Warner Brothers films, began systematically transferring Ron's best moments to Hermione Granger, his stated favorite character. By the time the films were finished, Ron had been reduced to comic relief and emotional cowardice. Publications like BuzzFeed and The Mary Sue documented 17 separate instances across the films where Ron was diminished or replaced, a treatment that transformed Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint's trio dynamic. Alastair Stout has been cast as Ron Weasley in the HBO series, selected from 40,000 children who auditioned. He is starting fresh. New actor, new production, new chance to get it right. And the risk of getting it wrong again is enormous, because the problem with Ron in the films was not Rupert Grint. Rupert Grint was excellent with the material he was given. The problem was in the writing room. Steve Kloves is not writing the HBO series, but the writing room is still full of human beings who will face the same temptations. Hermione is easier to write. Her intelligence and loyalty make her naturally compelling. Her moments land cleanly on the page. Ron's best moments are quieter, more internal. They require a writer to understand that a boy standing firm while terrified is braver than a boy who was never afraid, and that a character who doubts himself and comes back anyway is more interesting than one who never doubted. If the HBO writer's room does not actively fight for Ron Weasley from the first episode of Season 1, Alastair Stout will spend 7 seasons giving a performance worthy of the character J.K. Rowling wrote with dialogue written for a different one. Before we continue, only a fraction of you watching right now are subscribed. We go deeper into the wizarding world than anyone else on YouTube. Hit subscribe so you are there for the next one. Part 3. John Lithgow and the 70-Year Problem. John Lithgow, one of the most celebrated actors in American film and television history, is playing Albus Dumbledore in the HBO Harry Potter series. He said something in his casting interview that I have not been able to stop thinking about. He said, "I will be about 87 years old at the wrap party." That is not a joke. That is a man in his early 80s committing to a decade-long production. 7 seasons, 10 years, and he said it himself as if he could already feel the weight of it. Richard Harris, who played Dumbledore in the first 2 Warner Bros. Films, died during production. He was 72. The recast of Dumbledore is one of the most discussed moments in the history of the franchise because Michael Gambon, who replaced Harris, played the character so differently that the 2 portrayals feel like 2 different people. The HBO series has built its entire legacy promise on consistency. One story told faithfully across a decade. Every character developed properly, every arc completed, and the actor playing its most important adult character has acknowledged that he will be 87 at the end of it. This is not a criticism of John Lithgow. He is extraordinary. His casting, when announced, was met with widespread excitement for good reason. But the production risk is not just about whether Lithgow remains available. It is about what Lithgow's natural gifts do to the character. John Lithgow plays warmth brilliantly. He plays grandfatherly authority. He plays decency and kindness with more ease than almost any actor alive. But we have just spent this entire channel building the case that Dumbledore is a villain. That underneath the warmth and the twinkling eyes is a man who raised a child for slaughter and responded to the accusation with one word. Precisely. That Dumbledore needs to exist in Lithgow's performance too. Not visibly, not obviously, but it needs to be there. Underneath, waiting, ready to surface when Season 6 arrives, and the memories of Severus Snape reveal everything. If the HBO Dumbledore is only the grandfather, the villain thesis disappears, and the series loses the most uncomfortable truth J.K. Rowling buried in the books. Part 4. Voldemort's Death, the chance they cannot waste. In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling, Lord Voldemort, Tom Marvolo Riddle, dies like a human being. Not dramatically, not explosively, not in a spectacle of dissolving ash and sweeping orchestral music. He falls. His body hits the floor, and J.K. Rowling described it as a mundane finality. The most feared dark wizard in history dies the way any man dies. Unmystified, unremarkable, on the ground. This was intentional. It was the point. Voldemort spent his entire life trying to transcend death. He split his soul 7 times. He murdered and tortured and subjugated an entire world in the pursuit of immortality. And at the end of it, during the Battle of Hogwarts, he died like everyone else. Ordinary, human, unavoidable. The Warner Brothers films dissolved him into ash, a spectacular death for a spectacular villain. Cinematically impressive, thematically wrong. The HBO series has 7 seasons to build to this moment. 7 seasons of Voldemort as the shadow behind everything. 7 seasons of his terror and his power and his absolute certainty that he had escaped the one thing that humbled every human being who ever lived. And then he hits the floor. If HBO gets this right, it will be one of the most powerful moments in the history of television adaptation. The whole audience waiting for the climax. The whole audience ready for something enormous. And instead, silence. A body. The floor. If HBO makes it spectacular, they will have learned nothing from the films they spent a decade promising to improve on. Part 5. The one that is already happening. Now we arrive at the thing I have been thinking about since the casting was announced. Paapa Essiedu, the Emmy Award-winning actor who became the first black actor to play Hamlet for the Royal Shakespeare Company in 2016, is playing Severus Snape. He is an extraordinary actor. He is capable of extraordinary things. His casting, for purely artistic reasons, makes complete sense. He can hold complexity in his face without explaining it. He can be cold and controlled and deeply emotional simultaneously. He is precisely the kind of actor you want for Severus Snape. And that is exactly the problem. The entire world already knows the story of Severus Snape. Every person who sits down to watch the HBO Harry Potter series has already seen the films, read the books, or absorbed the cultural knowledge of a story that has existed for nearly 30 years. They know about Lily Evans Potter, they know about the Patronus, they know about Always. This means that every scene Paapa Essiedu appears in as Severus Snape, every cold look at Harry Potter, every sneer, and every cruelty will be watched by an audience that is already looking for the love underneath. And Paapa Essiedu, being the actor he is, will put it there. He cannot help it. It is what extraordinary actors do. They play the full truth of a character, not just the surface. And the full truth of Severus Snape includes everything the books hide, until The Prince's Tale in Chapter 33 of Harry Potter and The Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. In the Warner Brothers films, Alan Rickman knew the secret because J.K. Rowling told him personally before filming began. He played it in every pause, every cold line, every moment. But he played it invisibly, and crucially, the audience did not know. Now, the audience knows. Everyone knows. And Paapa Essiedu playing all of that invisible love in a post-reveal world means the question is no longer whether Snape is secretly good. The question is just how much of it the audience can see. If the answer is too much, the reveal in Season 7 lands with a fraction of its intended impact. Not because Essiedu has failed, because the mystery is gone before it begins. The only solution is a specific, conscious, creative decision. Snape must be played as genuinely menacing for 6 seasons. Not warmly menacing, not hauntingly melancholic. Genuinely unpleasant, difficult to like, someone the audience does not trust and is not sure they should. That is a hard instruction to give an actor who has been hired precisely because he can convey depth and complexity. It is a hard instruction for a writer's room that knows the ending, and it is the most important creative decision the HBO series will make. Part 6. The Verdict. I want to end with something I genuinely believe. The HBO Harry Potter series is the best chance this story has ever had on screen. Not because of the budget or the cast or the prestige television pedigree. Because of time. 8 episodes per book. Enough time to show the playground, the friendship, the word that ended it. Enough time to show Ron Weasley winning the chess game without cutting away. Enough time to let Neville Longbottom become the person the Sorting Hat always knew he was. Enough time to let Harry grieve. Actually grieve, the way J.K. Rowling wrote it, with Warner Brothers Studios Leavesden serving as the production base and Hans Zimmer confirmed as composer. The series has both the physical infrastructure and musical talent to support this expanded storytelling approach. The 5 risks I have listed in this video are not predictions. They are warnings, from someone who has spent years reading these books carefully and believes they contain something that the Warner Brothers films only partially captured. The story of Harry Potter is not about magic, it is about what people choose to do with the time they have. It is about love as a weapon and sacrifice as the only power that cannot be countered, and the fact that the most dangerous thing in the world is someone who has decided that their vision of the right outcome is worth whatever it costs the people around them. If the HBO series understands that, it will be extraordinary. If it forgets it in favor of spectacle, we will be back here in 10 years having the same conversation about what a Harry Potter adaptation got wrong. I am hoping it understands it. But I am watching carefully. Which of the 5 things I talked about today worries you most? Is it the tone, Ron Weasley, Dumbledore, Voldemort's death, or the Snape problem? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If you are new here, subscribe. We go deeper into the wizarding world than anyone else on YouTube. The Dumbledore video is linked right here, and the Snape video is right here. Watch them both, and you will have the full picture of exactly what the HBO series is inheriting. Until next time, mischief managed.